Welcome back to the sweatshop, boys and girls. Today we're going to be showing you how to wash your engine bay. Before we get started with today's video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. As you can see here, I have found the perfect candidate for an engine bay wash. This thing is filthy. There is all sorts of sand, salt, and grit everywhere on the engine. So it's going to be mighty satisfying to get all that crap and crud off of this engine. Of course, there are a few steps that you want to take to protect yourself from costly mistakes. A few of the things that you want to avoid when washing an engine bay is blasting your alternator and electrical components. You don't want to blast those things with all sorts of water because you can wreck them, especially when they're hot. So your number one thing is to make sure that the engine is cold and at room temperature. Do not blast or wash your engine when it is hot. You will wreck components. Of course, the component that usually gets affected the most when people try to wash their engine bay is the alternator, because they usually don't let it cool down or they blast it with all kinds of water. Electrical components don't like all sorts of water. Something to keep in mind. Blasting your battery is fine as long as there's not acid coming out of it. If there is acid coming out of it, then you can probably get water into it, which may kill your battery. This here on the Subaru Impreza that we're working on is a fuse box. With this particular thing, you do not want to in any shape or form remove this cover from your fuse box and blast it with water. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Blast the cover all you like. Try your best not to get up and under. You don't want your electrical connectors to be swamped with water. The third thing that people usually do that can cost them later on is that they use really harsh chemicals. What you want to do is just use something that is recommended for washing your engine bay. Don't use something that's overly aggressive or something that is not recommended for the purpose that you're looking for. It can lead to issues later on. Personally, I don't even use soaps. I just blast everything with a power washer and everything comes out clean. If there is something that's kind of stuck on, maybe a little bit of brake clean depending on what the surface is, and then of course some soap and water usually does the trick. Tools that you'll need to generally get this job done to completion is number one, of course, a power washer. Number two, compressed air and a blowgun so you can dry components off before you go and start the thing up. Possibly a brush and maybe a little spray bottle with soap and water so you can make your life a little bit easier with getting some of this grime off. Now, the three things that are most important when attempting this job is make sure if you're going to use a cleaner, get a purpose-built cleaner. The second thing is pay attention to whatever you're blasting with your power washer. Don't just blast all over the place, because if you knock something off and you're not looking, or you start aiming the nozzle at somewhere where it shouldn't be and you're not looking, you're going to potentially cause yourself a headache. And most importantly, make sure you wear eyeglasses, because the dirt and crap that come off of this car could potentially end up in your eye, which won't be fun. Well, boys and girls, I think that's enough rambling. Let's go ahead, grab our power washer, and we'll start blasting this thing. Again, make sure it is at room temperature and cold. Do not power wash your engine bay when it's hot. In case you're wondering, we're using the 15-degree tip. It would also help if you turn the machine on. With your machine on, begin blasting. Now the most important step before you go ahead and actually turn this engine on or get ready to pull away is to go ahead, take a blower and blow all the water off of the electrical components that are most integral to the operation of this thing. So your alternator, your starter, all that sort of stuff. If you can access it, go ahead and blow them off. After you blow those items off, go ahead and just blow off all the plastics and whatnot around it, and you're good to go. Now, of course, when going through this process, you can look at everything to make sure you've gotten most of the dirt off and it's the way that you desire it. If it's not clean enough, go ahead, soap it up and blast it again. Not gonna harm anything. Just don't start it up, heat it up, and then blast it again. Bad idea. So we're gonna give it a little bit more water because there is some more clumps of dirt there that I wanna get off, and then we'll go ahead, dry it again, and start this thing up. Once you're satisfied with getting all the dirt off it, you can go ahead and dry it with the blowgun. Now the goal is to, of course, get as much water as you can off the electrical components and off the block in general. The reason why off the block in particular with the Subaru is because when you start it up and everything starts to heat up, all the crap and crud that you did get off and the water and whatnot's going to sit there and boil off on the top of the block, and it's just not going to smell very nice. It's essentially like smelling the oil coming off of the manifold when you have leaking head gaskets for a Subaru. It just kind of sucks. So blow as much as you can off. What I would do is start it up, give it about 5 minutes at idle, just monitor it to see if it's running okay and everything is running fine the way it was before you power washed it. Check to see if a check engine light comes on, and then you can go ahead, drive away, and you should be all good to go. Well, other than the annoying heat shield, all seems to be well. You can see everything is back to normal. For us, we've got no lights operational. Our compressor's kicking in nicely. Everything's working good. All we got to do now is let it heat up, let all of that smoke and residue burn off, and we can drive this thing away. Well, boys and girls, that's the after shot. I think it looks pretty good to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I don't know if you can see, there's still a bit of residue or smoke burning off from the exhaust manifold. It's rising up from the back there. Maybe you can see it on camera. I think it looks pretty good for just a blast and no soap at all. Anyhow, boys and girls, that's all she wrote for the Subaru Impreza and the engine bay wash. If you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. And as always, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Fucking truck, because you had it. Oh, for fuck's sake. The number one most costly... Number one component that usually gets wrecked by the contraction is to make sure that you don't... Of course, the component that usually gets affected by people not letting it cool down is the alternator. Fucking notepad. By no means, there should be absolutely no... Let me know what you guys think. Well, boys and girls, there you go. There you go. Fuck.